If they want to be recognized as Florida friendly with the state, we have a checklist that we go by. And the first rule is asking, are you abiding by your HOA rules and covenants?
We've been talking to Amanda Marek, the extension agent here in Marion County, one of the extension agents, about Florida-friendly landscaping and about turf grass and the maintaining both of those in a very healthy, economical, environmental ways. One of the problems that many homeowners face is if they happen to live in an HOA or a community that has an HOA that is sometimes not as up-to-date, let's say, on some of the environmental, ecological sorts of things, or they sort of want the manicured lawns and the clipped hedges, and to maintain a certain look in the development to maintain the image that they want their development to have. However, I think I've heard that there are ways in which residents of HOAs can still use Florida-friendly principles, and in this segment we want to kind of explore some of those ways of doing things.
Certainly.
So I understand, first off, that there have been some changes in state law that limits maybe how HOAs can dictate things. Is that right?
There are some little nuances now that have been coming down the line. With Florida Friendly Landscaping in particular, there's been a state statute, I want to say since 2009, and that says that an HOA may not prohibit Florida Friendly Landscaping. And in honesty, many HOAs, at least the ones that I've worked with and have experience with, Florida Friendly Landscaping is in their codes and covenants. It is in their bylaws. It just may not always be promoted or pushed. And some communities are doing better than others in that regard. One of the bigger issues you run into HOAs is the turf grass requirement, requiring 50% or 55% or more turf grass. And so that really limits how much Florida-friendly landscaping a homeowner can do, because they have to put in the amount of turf grass. The good news is with, our growing issues with water, particularly with so many people moving to the state, and Ocala especially, there are many HOA communities really opening their eyes to alternatives to the traditional HOA yard. Yeah. And we talked earlier about many communities using like bahia grass in the backyards and allowing homeowners to do more Florida-friendly landscaping, or promoting that more so than they used to in the past. There is new state statute that just recently passed as well, that in the backyards, homeowners, if it's not visible from the main road, the homeowner can pretty much do what they need to in their backyard without the HOA really telling them yes or no. Now, I will say with Florida-friendly landscaping, our very first rule, if folks do want to be recognized, because we do have a checklist for homeowners and commercial properties, if they want to be recognized as Florida-friendly with the state, we have a checklist that we go by. And the first rule is asking, are you abiding by your HOA rules and covenants? So that is a must with Florida Friendly. We don't want you getting in trouble with your HOA, of course, but it does not hurt to approach the board or the Architectural Review Committee and asking, hey, do we have Florida Friendly in our bylaws and our covenants? If not, can we add it? If it is, what can we do more to promote Florida Friendly in our neighborhood, primarily to reduce water and protect water quality?
And I understand that sometimes it's not the kind of plant you put in, but how big they get that can become a problem.
Correct. Especially trees, oak trees comes to mind. So many communities like to plant oak trees, then, those things want an acre. Down the road, that's going to be an issue. And so that goes back to that state statute that if an HOA is requiring wrong plant, wrong place, for example, if they are requiring turf grass in an area that is full dense shade, that is against the state statute. They should be allowed to do a Florida-friendly shade-tolerant plant instead of just turf grass. So it's simple little changes like that we're working one-on-one with homeowners as well as HOAs to educate. That's what we're here for, is to educate. And a lot of HOA board members or architecture review committee members may not be familiar with the plant life or the Florida-friendly landscaping principles. And that's what we're here to help with.
And I know a lot of people are moving into Marion County. Last time I heard it was something like 90 people a day or a month or something like that, but a lot. And it crops up in the news often that Ocala particularly in Marion County is one of the big growth areas in the country.
It is, especially Ocala.
Yeah, and a lot of those people are coming from areas that don't have Florida plants.
Correct.
So when they build a house, when they do the landscaping, is it usually just going to be the builder that says, oh, well, we need to do landscaping, you need to do this, and they end up with things that may not be Florida friendly?
Thankfully, what we usually run into is because they have to have the landscape plan approved in advance by the county. So usually what we run into is the plant material is usually not an issue. At least the plant selection's not always a problem. What we do run into is it might be the wrong plant in the wrong place. So we mentioned like the oak trees or magnolia trees planted too closely to a house. Florida Friendly Landscaping recommends at least 15 feet from the foundation of a home to a tree, and it never fails. We'll go out to brand new construction and there'll be a magnolia planted 5-6 feet from the foundation, and that will be a problem down the road. So usually the plant palette, unfortunately, is usually the same boring 5 to 8 species of plants.
Come to mind.
Exactly. Podocarpus, yes, it's like the same ones. And that goes back into, you use the word like concrete. It's like a concrete jungle. I recently had a homeowner who moved from, I want to say Pennsylvania. And he said, when I moved into my house here in Ocala, it was like the same landscaping I had in Pennsylvania. I could have been anywhere in the United States. It was not Florida specific. And with Florida Friendly Landscaping, we're really trying to bridge that gap and be that middleman to help HOAs and homeowners have landscaping that is perennial, that it's easy to maintain, it's attractive, but also that is Florida friendly and is attracting those pollinators. And it's doable. And we've seen homeowners transform their boring old HOA yard into a Florida friendly recognized yard, and they've done it beautifully with HOA approval.
That's great. We do have things like, is the Simpson stopper is a bush that can be trimmed into a hedge, right?
Definitely, yes. And that's what we're here for, is to help homeowners and HOAs if they want to try to be more Florida friendly. There are very simple alternatives. So you mentioned Simpson stopper, Walter's viburnum as well. Those are very readily available native plants that are evergreen, and they fruit and they flower. So it's a win-win for butterflies, for pollinators, and the HOA and the homeowner are happy because you still have that evergreen plant. It's still serving the same purpose as, say, a non-native sweet viburnum, but this is native. So there are simple little changes, and we're starting to see, it's slow going, but we're starting to see a shift in some of the larger, older HOAs who've been here a while. They have really tried to be more proactive. There's some communities that are requiring Florida Water Star, for example, which requires Florida-friendly landscaping. So yeah, if we can do more to help developers and HOAs before they even break ground and having that right plan in place, that'll be excellent both for them, for homeowners, and for our water in the future.
Could you explain the difference between aggressive plants and invasive plants?
Good question. So aggressive, many of our native plants can be aggressive. The Virginia creeper vine or grapevine comes to mind. Those are native. A native plant cannot be invasive. Invasive by definition is it's a plant that's not from the United States. It may not be from Florida or from the United States in general, and it escapes into naturalized areas and changes how ecosystems function. So I've spent many years of my life working for State and National Park Service trying to kill and remove invasive lantana from back dune ecosystems in St. Augustine. You know, there'll be a lantana that's 6 feet tall and trunks this big, and homeowners will have it in their yard and say, well, I don't see it going anywhere. But you have to ask yourself, where are the berries going? The birds are carrying the berries into places you may not see.
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, there's weedy, weedy aggressive, and then there's invasive, and that's a whole definition of plants that we really try to avoid. In most HOA communities, for the most part, probably the more common ones we do still see planted, unfortunately, in HOAs are Nandina, the heavenly bamboo, which has poisonous berries to birds. That's one of the more common ones. And Mexican petunia, thankfully, most of those are sterile now, but we'll see some older communities still with those, and the lantana as well. So trying to encourage the native or at least sterile varieties of some of those common invasives.
What recommendations do you have, again, for someone who wants to use FFL and they live in an HOA? You can just sort of lay out a couple of summarize.
Certainly. So we usually start with the conversation of what their goals are. And when I can see that their goals are aligned, and even if they're not, we'll educate. We usually first ask, have you attended one of our programs? We'll do 1-hour programs or full 4-part series. We have programs year-round, the Master Gardeners do as well. So we'll usually ask, hey, did you attend a class? Well, no, I haven't. Okay, that's fine. So then I'll usually either have a meeting with them here, or I'll go out to their yard and to their site, and I'll bring them materials. We do have on our Florida Friendly Landscaping website, we have multiple free resources, including the Florida Friendly Plant app. There's a book, but the app is on our website. It's free to use, and that one's useful because you can filter what you want to have recommended. So if you have mostly shade, you can filter out shade plants, or if you want all native, you can filter that out. We also have a Florida Friendly butterfly garden app. So if you want to specialize in butterflies and bees, there's an app for that as well. So we'll refer folks to those resources, to those plant guides, and to the handbook. I do have some copies that we also provide to program participants, and we'll have them read those materials, and we'll go through the 9 principles with them and give them that crash course, so to speak, because you're right, most people are not from Florida, and it's not just the plant material, they're not familiar with the soil. The soil is very different than what they're used to, and even the aquifer system that's not very far beneath our feet is very sensitive to what we put in our yards. So making sure that they have that understanding, and then helping them, one corner of their property at a time, trying to see, okay, you have this and it's good, or you have this and you might want to change this or replace that Nandina with something better. Those sort of recommendations. We also spend a lot of time with irrigation as well, making sure they know where the irrigation box is, so they're not afraid of it. Teach them that they can make sure they change it according to the seasons and the needs of the plant. Make sure they have a working rain shutoff device. And if worse comes to worse, they can call our office. Sometimes they can even call their HOA and get one-on-one recommendations for their irrigation system in particular. But making sure they know the rules, they know what's recommended for our area to be Florida friendly. And more often than not, people want to do the right thing. They just may not know how to. It's funny, a lot of times they'll actually go by what their neighbor's doing or what the landscaper is doing. Crepe myrtle is a great example.
Yeah.
I saw my neighbor trim down his crepe myrtle, so I thought it was the right thing to do. I'm like, no, not really. So it's things like that, trying to change that culture one by one.
So resources then, there are pamphlets and books and things here at the Extension, but there's free materials on the website. What could you tell us what the website is, or what the address is, I guess?
It's Florida Friendly Landscaping, so it's abbreviated FFL dot, then it's IFAS, so IFAS, which is Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, dot UFL for University of Florida, .edu. It keeps going. So ffl.ifas.ufl.edu.
Okay.
Or just Google Florida Friendly Landscaping and you'll bring it up.
Okay, yeah. So, and then you also have the resource of the Master Gardeners have that plant clinic where people can call in with their problem and talk to them, and they will try and help, and if they can't figure it out, they will contact an agent for that particular specialty, correct?
Certainly, yeah. Depending on which county you're in, if you're in Marion County, for example, if you just Google Marion County Extension, we also have our own website with all of our contact information, and there's a button that says Ask a Master Gardener. So they can do that way by email, or we have the walk-in plant clinic here at our main extension office next door to the livestock pavilion. We also have satellite plant clinics stationed in different libraries and different areas throughout the county, and you can find the calendar of our satellite plant clinics on our website, or just give us a call. We'll give you that information. But with Marion County being so large, we try to make it easy for folks out in Denellen or out in the forest to get those same resources without having to drive all the way here.
Yeah. And also, I know you always put up tables with information at Ocala Days or the Home and Garden shows here in Ocala, and you also have 2 plant sales here at the Eastern Livestock Pavilion. Well, one at the pavilion and one here in the propagation area, and there's always literature and people ready to answer questions at these.
Oh, absolutely. There's no shortage of resources we have to share with you, and anytime there's a special event in the community, chances are that we will be there. Our Master Gardeners are incredible. They really help us extend our reach out into the community where the agents ourselves couldn't do it alone. So any of those big events, even Ocala Downtown Market, the Farmers Market, the events at WEC, we do have our big Spring Festival. That's always the second weekend of March, so put that on your calendar. Second weekend of March. 2026 will be a little bit strange because it's the second full weekend of March. So I want to say it's the 15th or 16th this year. But we'll have over 100 vendors, plants, educational seminars here at our livestock pavilion. And then you mentioned the 2 plant sales that our Master Gardeners sell. Spring, we just had one Mother's Day weekend, and our next one will be in October. So you can either get on our Marion County Extension website, we have a calendar, or our University of Florida Marion County Master Gardener Facebook page. We also keep up all of our events, and they're really good at putting up some really interesting posts pretty regularly there too. Yeah.
And I have noticed at the plant sales that you come early to get the good selection, because if you don't come early, you get what's left.
Yes, get there very, very early. If crowds are not your thing, and believe me, I get it, we do have plant sales the 1st, 3rd, and 4th Thursday of every month. So our little Master Gardener propagation area, 1st, 3rd, and 4th Thursday mornings, roughly 9 to noon. You can come on by, and the Master Gardeners will be out there in propagation working, but it's also open to the public to plant shop. Being that we just had our spring plant sale, we're a little thin out there, but we do still have quite a few pollinator and even native plants out there too.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
No, thank you
really
for having us. Appreciate it.